it. The whole lock journey thing is real though. And it's not it's about the way it transforms how you feel about yourself. Like, our hair is such a big deal. Think about it. From the time that we are born, it is everybody's business. Everybody feels like they have a stake in what's going on with our hair. It's growing out of my head, but from parents to aunties and uncles and grandparents to strangers on the street to white people to other non-black people, everybody feels like they have something to say about what's going on with my hair. And even with each other as fellow black women, we feel a kind of way about it if another sister shows up with her hair looking a particular way. Like, I know some of y'all are looking at my little B2Bs and my naps and kinks and going, oh my goodness, I wish she would do something about that because that's embarrassing me. I know. We can't help it. It's because, white supremacy, really. Let's be real. In order to get and keep jobs in certain in certain industries, get and keep certain kind of jobs where you would be around white people a lot, you had to have your hair looking like it was a white person's hair for most of our history. So we wore wigs, we hot combed it, we relaxed it, we and remember during slave times, it was illegal to have our hair out at all. So hence the head wraps. And so when the rest of the world is taking such a huge interest in what's going on with what's growing out of your head, it's really hard to have like a straightforward relationship with it. And for me, I've been sick for a really long time. And I used to wear my hair in twists. And my hair's always been long. I was fortunate. Like I said, I was a really privileged girl when it came to the black stuff. Because my mom put herself through school in a natural hair care salon in like the 70s or the late 60s, early 70s. And so by the time she got me, good hair was coarse hair. Because coarse hair you could do anything with. You could perm it, you could blow it dry, you could curl it, you could braid it, you could do whatever. And so I grew up with the idea that my hair was good hair. The fact that I didn't want to do anything with it was everything to do with me being a tomboy and not interested in spending the time. So I was really, I didn't grow up with a lot of like ideas about whether or not my hair was okay because of my mother. But I did notice that like the minute I stepped out of the house, everybody else had an opinion. I mean, even within the house, like my dad and my brothers, because, in the 90s, before, when representation of black women started, there was a very short window where there were, dark-skinned, chocolate-skinned black women represented. But even then, usually their hair was straight or braided. Hello, Mo. And then after that, it was all, Tyra Banks and Jada Pinkett types. And so their hair tended, at least on the shows, to have like the looser, closer to wavy curl patterns. And that affected girls growing up in those times. But for me, it was already set. Like, my hair is my hair and I love it and, whatever. But let me tell you, I started twisting it in my 20s and it looked beautiful. But I was still uncomfortable because like I said, I lived in mostly white spaces with the way that it would transform. Mostly because I was observing other people's observations of my hair transforming. And I used to get a little uncomfortable with that. So like when I do a twist out and like excuse me, sorry, not gonna edit that out. When I do a twist out and then go to the city, I would find myself feeling a little uncomfortable because the way it would just start to poof out. Nowadays, I would love it, but back then, I was less secure. And when you do a twist, when you do a two-strand twist, you know your hair goes through a couple of stages, 1, 2, 3. And, right first it's like smooth and down and pretty, you know, the way you did it. And then it starts to poof a little, and that's fine too. And then you get to like the twist out. And the twist out lasts until it starts to get a little wavy and then starts to chunk up into your kinks and your naps. And that was, I knew what to expect with the twist out. And I cut it all off because I could no longer maintain my own hair. And then I got used to it. I just loved like being able to rub my head over my hand over my scalp and just feel my little bead of bees. It made me happy. But then somebody, was like, hey, you should grow your hair. And I just decided, hey, why not? I've thought about locks before. I might as well try it. It was such a process because it was the first time I really got to know my hair without manipulation. Everything we do is a manipulation of our hair, whether it's whether we put a weave in, whether we wear it natural and put all the little the product in. Almost everything that we do is a manipulation, but to just let it grow wild, which is essentially what you're doing with locks. Even when you cultivate them, there's a lot of it's got a mind of its own going on. And although India Ari is correct, I am not my hair, it is hard to remember that when your hair is growing in several different directions at once and shows no indication of doing any of the things that you were hoping that it would do. And you're told, you see from the pictures, these beautiful women with these long, long, thick, raw silk looking, feeling, locks, right? And you can't quite believe in it. It is a journey. And you really do have to meet yourself. You really do meet the whole I am not my hair woman, because your hair is doing whatever the hell it wants. So it's not your hair either. You're not it, but it's not yours. And you also have to deal with other people's expectations and opinions and thoughts and ideas about how they feel about your hair looking like, as the song said, looking like a slave in their minds. Because what they want is anything that can like kind of prove that we are too far from that like historical stereotype of us, of the girls with the hair that is all matted and pointing various directions, because we weren't allowed to really care for our hair the way we used to in Africa, which was a communal event. Women took care of each other's hair, and it was just this beautiful ritual, self-care, cared for, loving, and the closest we get to it are black beauty salons. But even there's a lot of like texturism that we struggle with sometimes. So it is a journey, not just about not wanting our natural hair. It's a journey of getting to a place where you're like really separating from yourself the idea of what your hair wants to do with itself, and then eventually embracing whatever it decides to do, however it decides to show up. So like nowadays, my hair is going gray, like right here, and it is doing whatever it wants. I have no idea. It's a different texture, and I haven't quite figured out how to deal with the fact that it doesn't seem to hold a lock but that long. But anyway, just wanted to share.